there's never been a more urgent time to support children in proactively developing strong mental health or mental wellness.
Right.
And especially after COVID, I mean, I've talked with coaches from all around the world and educators as well, and our children really are struggling with their social emotional skills, of course, academically, that's impacting confidence and self-esteem as well. So what we're really doing is working to get the word out amongst parents so they know that coaching is part of the solution in helping their children proactively develop strong mental wellness. So the book that you held up, I've written tons of things, including a curriculum that we've been using for 12 plus years, this one right here. And it's a parent's guide to life coaching for kids, when to add a coach to your parenting team.
Hello, I'm John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from downtown Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. And for all those people that wonder, they know where Canada is, British Columbia on the west coast, and they know that big city, Vancouver. We are 500 miles north of Vancouver, or for our European friends, 800 kilometers. And Prince George, at about 80,000 people, it is an absolute fabulous area. Lots of forest, lots of trees, lots of wildlife, black bears, grizzly bears, caribou, deer, wolf, you name it, we have it all here, living in harmony. So today we got a very, very special guest on a very, very interesting topic. Coaching for kids is the topic in a lot of areas. Her name is Renaye Thornborrow, and Renaye is a life coaching for kids expert, is a leading worldwide mission to bring life coaching and mindset skills training for kids. Since 2013, the company has certified hundreds of wisdom coaches in over 30 countries. Very interesting topic, very timely, I believe, at any time, really, but even more so now. Renaye, tell us a bit about yourself, your background. How did it bring you to coaching of kids?
Happy to be here, John. Thank you. You know, my journey actually, the seed was planted many years ago when I discovered the world of personal development right after graduating from college. And I remember thinking to myself, why didn't I learn this when I was a kid? And I
Exactly.
knew that when I had, what was that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I knew that when I had children one day that I wanted them to learn about the power of their mind and how the power of their thoughts really shape their confidence, their self-esteem, their resilience, and what they create in their lives as well. And over the years, I'd become an expert in personal development work. I used my mindset skills to create a very successful corporate career, happy, fulfilling marriage. And when I had children about 22 years ago, I couldn't find anything out there to help them learn these mindset skills. You know, there are a few things, John, on how to get my kids to behave, but nothing on how to use the power of their mind. And I started working with my kids at a very young age, and sometimes it felt a little lectury, and I wasn't quite sure if it was landing. So what I did was I started writing stories, written in fable format, to help my young children learn about mindset skills. And that's when the magic happened, because they not only loved the stories, they were also really learning these concepts. And from there, the vision just grew. And I said, well, why not help other children as well? So I retired from my corporate job at the time. So I was fortunate enough to be able to take a year off to write the curriculum. And in 2012, launched my company, Adventures in Wisdom. And at first, I had a home study program for parents to use with their own children, but then I had people coming to me wanting to use my curriculum in their work with kids. So educators, life coaches for adults, counselors, therapists, people who are already working with kids. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. They knew they'd be able to reach children I would never be able to reach. And so I created a certification program, and the rest is history. We've got coaches in over 30 countries now, actually close to 40, using our work, helping children really build these skills and thrive.
The amazing thing about it, Renaye, is that so critically important and so much needed already I'm 84 years old, so already when I was a kid, it was lots of challenges going on, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but to why did it take so long before there was structure to it? And I particularly look at you as the. I know you're also an author, and I'm just sharing with our viewers a book that you wrote. Will show it to us as well.
Yep.
And then the other thing that was interesting is that structure in terms of what you do. Where is I saw this as part of your layout, and then the other part that I thought very interesting is this
Yeah.
document. And so they are, correct me if I'm wrong, lay out the foundation of what you do and how do you go about it in terms of structure. Because that, although we all recognize that there are challenges, but how do you go about it as a layperson? Because there is not much available in terms of how do I, these are my challenges, how do I go about dealing with it as the
Right.
young person grows up, because it's always usually very timely in terms of saying, oh my goodness, I have 1, 2, 3 or whatever kids, and all of a sudden all the things are all happening at once, and I need guidance because it's a delicate time, a difficult time, and I really don't know what to do.
Yeah. I'd love to share a little bit about some of the documents and what you were holding up and what the purpose of those are. I've been doing this, certifying coaches now for almost 12 years, and I go to conferences and I still have people say, life coaching for kids? I didn't know that was a thing. And so we're really working on getting the word out for parents to help them understand that this resource is available for their children. Because if you look at been a more urgent time to support children in proactively developing strong mental health or mental wellness.
Right.
And especially after COVID, I mean, I've talked with coaches from all around the world and educators as well, and our children really are struggling with their social emotional skills, of course, academically, that's impacting confidence and self-esteem as well. So what we're really doing is working to get the word out amongst parents so they know that coaching is part of the solution in helping their children proactively develop strong mental wellness. So the book that you held up, I've written tons of things, including a curriculum that we've been using for 12 plus years, this one right here. And it's a parent's guide to life coaching for kids, when to add a coach to your parenting team. So what's really important here is that coaches aren't here to replace the parents. They're
Now,
here to work.
sorry to interrupt you, Renaye. So the book is available on all the major medias. Hold it up once
Yeah,
more so that we can take another look
there you
at it.
go.
So it's available on Amazon, on, and all the other ones. Is it
Right
an
now it's on Amazon. And it's on our website. We've got it really inexpensive and it's real, it's thin, quick,
yeah,
easy to read, lots of examples. We know
Audible?
parents, what's that?
Is it also an Audible version available?
Not yet. I mean, I just released this thing a couple of months ago, but that's on
Okay.
my list of things to do. Yeah.
An ebook
But
and all of those, because I think the I looked at the cover, and that's I'm an author and I've done
yeah.
half a dozen books or so, and I think the title very, very important, and then the layout is very important because it draws certainly my attention. Life coaching for kids, a parent's guide, is precisely what would draw people to the title alone and the pictures. So, and again, I know from my experience that the book, the structure of the book, the layout of the book, and the title and the presentation of how do you draw people to look at the book is very, very important. So you put it out
No.
about, you said about 2, 3 months ago.
Oh, just a few months ago, yes. And like I said, our mission here and why I'm on a lot of podcasts right now is to really help parents understand that this resource is available for their children. Because sometimes when parents see their child struggle a little bit, they might think, well, I need to find a counselor for my child, but a counselor's too much. They don't really need counseling. Who can help? Well, coaches if you look at mental health on a continuum, in fact, one of the things that you held up here was our mental health continuum. Let me just kind of see if it'll show up here.
Yeah,
So if you look
this
at,
info.
right, a continuum, you have mental illness on one end and mental wellness on the other end. Well, our counselors and therapists tend to support children more on that mental illness side. Children who are struggling more with just normalcy and functioning in life, they really support children getting back to functioning in life. Coaches will work with a child who might be struggling a little bit, or maybe they just have goals they want to achieve, but they're not struggling with mental illness. They have a foundation of mental health, but they want to help them really thrive and build resilience and coping skills, proactively build their confidence and self-esteem as well. So what this chart here is showing, and it's available on our website on the homepage for any parent who might be interested, is showing the continuum from thriving all the way to a child in crisis. So counselors and therapists are going to work with children who are really struggling and in crisis. Coaches are going to help children who are maybe a little unsettled, who are wanting to move more towards thriving in their lives. And the other thing that you held up here is a checklist.
Renee, one more
Yes.
question. Sorry to interrupt you. So your homepage is what?
Adventuresinwisdom.com. Adventures in Wisdom.
Adventuresinwisdom.com. Okay. So now you're
Yes.
going to refer to this document.
Yeah, so what that one is a checklist for parents on when to add a coach to your parenting team. And it asks 4 questions. It's like, okay, how's your child feeling? And are you seeing your child getting down on themselves? Are they using negative self-talk? And there's a series of questions there. What is your child doing? Are they not handling their homework, or is homework a battle? Are they not handling chores around the house? Are they, just acting out? What does your child want? Are they looking to achieve a big goal? Are they wanting to improve their grades? Are they wanting additional friendships? And the last thing is, what do you want? A lot of our parents who hire coaches, they love personal development themselves. They know that this has supported them in their lives. They want to support their children, but they also know that sometimes kids don't quite listen to their parents, and they're more likely to listen to someone else. And so it's really about adding a coach to your parenting team to really help them develop these skills.
Yeah. Which only makes sense, right? But it's so amazing that this has always been a challenge, right? For myself, I was born in northeastern Holland in 1940, and during the war years, and that was a challenge, obviously, and ended up with PTSD, the inner child, and a number of
Absolutely.
other things, and then. Academically, I was not a success story. I failed grade 3, and I don't really know anybody that failed grade 3, but I did. And then I failed grade 7 3 times. Obviously, I had some challenges. In addition, I just want to give you an example of me as a potential kid of a client. Hard to imagine now, but that I was diagnosed when I was 58 and officially diagnosed when I was 62 of ADHD and dyslexia. So there you got a kid growing up in a very challenging time, the war years, hunger, and anxiety and the fear of losing a parent, and then ADHD on top of that and dyslexia, and then not being successful academically and being called everything dumb, stupid, blah, 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 because you failed where the other ones all want. Self-confidence obviously were issues. And it took a long time for me on my own to kind of work my way through that. And even that we were liberated by the Canadian Army April the 12th, 1945. And I knew from that point forward, by the Canadian Army actually, I knew from that point forward I would go, when I grew up, to the land of my heroes, Canada. And so I knew that from the time I was 5 years old. And then, so when I decided to do that, first I was going to go when I was 17, was drafted into the Dutch Air Force for 2 years, and then left for Canada when I was 23. And with the dream of building a lumber mill. That's somewhat secondary, but I was going to go to Western Canada, and I was going to start from nothing. Couldn't speak the language, didn't know a soul, but I lacked self-confidence.
Yeah.
And that lasted for a long time. Even when I already in business, started with as a cleanup man, had no money, walked to the job, but fairly quickly grew into a supervisory role, and then started to build a business, a lumber mill actually, and now I'm not here to brag about what I do and all the other things, but now I have 10 different businesses. Obviously, I'm a very active podcaster. I'm an author, and then do speaking of different keynote speaking in different conferences. So I'm very, very proactive and very active. But the point that I wanted to make is this one. There really was never any guidance along the way because my parents that went through the war had their own issues relating to PTSD, and my dad that was underground for about 5 years during the war years had issues, drinking issues afterwards. Although he was very happy, very likable, but they were not good communicators, and still had troubles with PTSD and all those other kind of things. So as a child from me growing up, it was always a question of who am I? And so that challenge stayed with me likely till the time I came to Canada, now 60 years ago, in 1965, coming here with nothing on purpose, and couldn't speak the language, didn't know a soul, and but I had this ambition to build companies, and I did that successfully, but I didn't feel good about myself. I still had that challenge inside of me. Who am I? And so it was not until later, much later, that I found out I had ADHD. And then the other one is that self-confidence. Although everybody said, "Oh, you're so successful," and blah blah blah, I didn't feel that way. So, and that was already at an older age. It was not really until I was about 60, now 24 years ago, until I started to sort out who am I.
Right. Right.
So I want to give you that as an example, potentially, as to what happens along the way and what could have happened if there would have been potentially counseling or,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Absolutely. I mean, your personal story is absolutely incredible. It's extraordinary. And part of what happened, and one of the reasons why you struggled so much with your confidence when you were older, is because the beliefs that you formed about yourself at a very young age were deeply ingrained, and they were deeply ingrained in a time of trauma because of the fear of war, of your father not being home and not knowing whether he was alive or not, the hunger, the freezing cold, y'all being out there scavenging, trying to find food. I mean, all of that at such a young age profoundly shaped your brain. And that's the type of thing that counseling really helps support children with in overcoming, because it really is trauma. And then to go through the schooling system. And back then, they didn't know about ADHD and dyslexia. And, even when I was a child, and, children were more labeled, or like you said, they were called names. And so then you develop beliefs about yourself as well. But a belief that you did have about yourself, actually several, was resilience, that you could make things happen, that you could work harder. I mean, you have an extremely strong work ethic, your ability to see forward and to have that, you be that visionary. Those beliefs are what helped you create success in your life. But you still had this undercurrent of not feeling confident. And that's because those beliefs were instilled when we're at such a young age. And that takes reprogramming, which sounds like something that you've learned over time.
Yeah. And so then, even then, people said, "Oh, you're so successful and you've done all these things and blah blah blah," and I didn't feel that way at all. So
Yes.
even to the extent that I had difficult time in communicating about, if I could in my company, if I had about 3 or 4 people around me, but outside of that, I was
Yeah.
not good at this at all, and it was only coincidental that, and that's why I make those points, because that's what happened by
Right.
coincidence. A, going to Canada, then starting from nothing and surviving it and becoming successful. But the other one is communications. I was already here and for about 30 years, and I still had challenges with that. So that was in
Yeah.
1990. And then an ex-sister-in-law talked me into, she said, I want you to go with me to an organization that you may like. And I said, what is it? She said, Toastmasters. I
Yeah.
said, I've never heard of it. And I said, what are they going to do? Are they going to ask me questions? He said, no, you just sit there and just watch it. It's about communication skills.
Right.
And so, okay, so I went down there and then watched all these people, interesting. And then halfway through the meeting, somebody said to me, hey, John, tell us all about you. And I said, oh my God, I'll never go back here. So, but I stayed for 10 years. That brought me to the highest level in Toastmastering, to a distinguished Toastmaster.
Good.
That probably have been, there probably around North America, there are probably 450,000 clubs, and probably
Mhm.
450,000 people are in Toastmaster clubs as we speak. Probably over the
Right.
years, there are probably 10 million across the globe that have been in part of the clubs, but probably less than 1% of them go to the top, although that is not required. You can go take any
Right.
amount of it, but that to me, by that meeting that I went to and staying with it, gave me self-confidence,
Mhm.
and so that improved my communication skills, and so it was really, really helpful. But for those people watching that are maybe not familiar with Toastmasters in North America, go to the Google. There's probably one or two clubs that, no matter how big the city is, we have probably 3 clubs here in Prince George, and we are an $80,000 community. So it's not all about speaking. It's about, first and foremost, become good listeners. And then the second part is speaking, thinking on your feet by introducing issues, and then being evaluated by peers in a friendly way. Some positive, some potential room for improvement, and then
Right.
closing, those kind of things. And so that really helped me. But it's to be, if I look back for me at because of circumstances, and there is lots of that now with all the challenges that are going on around the world, and other things by exposure, just looking at the news media, there is lots of trauma or uncertainty, lack of self-confidence that are helpful in what you are doing, obviously, and likely not enough is that of that is being done. But I kind of showed the way that even at an older age, I was
Right.
diagnosed at 62 with ADHD. Then I started to become an author, became active, obviously, in podcasting with the top 1% globally. I'm not bragging about it, but just for the example that everything is possible. And then my companies are quite successful. And at
Right.
84, I'm still very, very active.
Absolutely. And confidence is a skill. That's one of the things that we teach children. And because some people think you either have confidence or you don't have confidence, you can actually develop your confidence. And one of the most powerful things people can do is stretch themselves outside of their comfort zone. Because the more you do something that you're uncertain about or feel a little nervous about, and you accomplish that and you don't actually die, you're going to build your confidence. And for you, as Toastmasters and achieving those different levels within the Toastmasters and developing those communication skills and the different successes you've had in your business, each one of those steps help build what's called the neural pathways or connections in your brain that I can do this. I can do new things. I can be successful. And even if you're not successful, you can overcome that, learn from it, and build upon it.
Exactly. And so I'm going to show you my last book that I did. That is this one here,
Uh-huh.
Living Young, Dying Old, and it's about quality of life and longevity. But the important point that I was going to make is a picture of me. I'm the
Yeah.
oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America, and
Awesome.
so and that was another thing of being outside of your comfort zone, where I
Yeah.
was going to the gym and somebody said, "Have you ever thought about competing?" And I thought, "Oh, that's a challenge." And so I
Yeah.
did, and subsequently, was quite successful bodybuilding and physique. Qualified for up north second bodybuilding, third in physique. Qualified me for the nationals and the Arnolds. And so again, to the point that that was not didn't come natural because I was
Right.
extremely self-confident of my body, the way I looked, and going to the gym was quite a challenge for me to do. And then go beyond that again is building self-confidence and saying that, and I do that in presentations that I do, especially to younger people, saying that everyone is special. There is only one of you on this earth, and that is you. Doesn't mean that you're better than, but that it makes you as an individual special.
Absolutely. It's one of the skills that we teach children at a young age is honoring your uniqueness and the uniqueness of others, because it's one of the foundations of self-esteem. A lot of times children spend their lives comparing themselves to other children. He's more athletic, she's smarter, whatever. But when children learn how to honor their own uniqueness and then still be able to appreciate the uniqueness of other people, then their self-esteem comes from who they are versus what they're achieving. And it's a very powerful concept for young children to learn at a young age. And one of the things that we do, John, to help children develop these skills is we use coaching stories written in a fable format to help them really understand mindset skills and how to apply these. Or actually, with the coach's support, they apply them to their own lives. And that's where true transformation can occur.
So I love this obviously because and the reason that I gave you the background is that if anybody should feel bad because of all the things that happen along the way, then I would be the example of that. And then I always push myself into, still do today, into areas that I'm not familiar with, and then create anxiety, and then will hopefully be successful or give it everything that I can to be successful. That has worked well for me right from the time that I was young, decided to go to Canada, start from new, with nothing. And then
Right.
have the dream of building a lumber mill and on and on and on and on. But
Right.
because of circumstances that I can use me as an example. If I can do it, virtually anybody can do it because the challenges along the way were so difficult. And I'm not saying that I'm special, but it gets to your point of saying with coaching, then it would make the road much easier and less difficult for the parent as well as
Mhm.
the children that go forward.
Absolutely, and just helping them understand how to use their mind and their thought patterns to support them along their journey. I mean, your journey was absolutely incredible, and you didn't have support along the way around. I mean, this was not knowledge back then. It wasn't anything that was really shared.
No.
And your parents didn't know. It wasn't because they weren't good parents, because they just didn't know. School systems don't teach it. People just don't know. And it's what's interesting about mindset skills is a lot of it's common sense, but it's not common knowledge. So, for example, one of the things that we teach children is all about the power of self-talk. It's
Yeah.
every moment of every day we're saying something to ourselves through our thoughts or through our words, and these thoughts are either building us up or they're tearing us down. But most people aren't aware of it, and certainly not children. So we want to teach them to really pay attention to their thoughts, to what they're saying to themselves, and if they notice that they're having kind of limiting or negative thoughts, to gently shift those to more supportive thoughts, and then to proactively build those supportive thoughts of belief in themselves, of resilience, of that they can do things, of honoring their uniqueness, like we talked about earlier. And it's such a powerful skill for us to teach children. And it's, when I said it's kind of common sense, but not common knowledge, it's like if you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, oh, John, you need to work out. you're not looking too good today, that's going to have a very different feeling in your body and programming of your mind. And you say, oh man, John, you got it going on. Look at you, Mr. Bodybuilder, and oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America. And then that's going to build you up and build your confidence. So it's all
That's
about how we speak to ourselves is going to face, or it's going to impact our confidence, self-esteem, what we achieve, and really supports us in navigating life.
So the other part about it, Renee, then is at what age, will this? It showcases. I always am amazed when I see the younger children, 3, 4 years old, how advanced they are. And then
Right.
I look at myself, not about the war years, but my preoccupation was that how do I get to school? And then the school was concerned about did we have something to eat,
Right.
and how do we get back home again? And the pressure among children was not so much about how do we look or all the other things, but more to survival in all the games that we would be playing. Is not something that they do today. They seem to be everybody has an
Oh yeah.
iPhone, and so everything has changed from that perspective. But it has become maybe more challenging than it was for me, worrying about the basic things of is my bike working or do I walk to,
Right.
yeah, so that was all part of what we did.
Hmm. The world has definitely gotten very complex, and especially looking at the world from a recovering from a world war, the situation you grew up in, versus if you're in the parts of the country or parts of the world now that's peaceful. Obviously, there's very different circumstances. So if we're looking at places where war isn't going on and where children do have the phones and technology. In the United States, we have a lot of fear of violence that is in the back of the mind of parents and children as well. And it's just a big shift that we've really seen over the years is that always on culture of technology and of phones. Even when I was a kid, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media, none of that stuff, not even college and stuff. And I see it with children. And it used to be too with, for example, bullying. So if someone was bullied, they might be bullied at the school. If they went home, they were in a safe environment, they were away from the bully. If they were in gymnastics, they were away from the bully or whatever. Now with this always on culture and social media and cyberbullying, they can get bullied 24/7. And a lot of times kids won't tell what's going on, so they're not getting that support. So they're having this inundation of negativity, of fear, of threats that is really damaging to their mindset, to their self-esteem, and to their confidence as well. I mean, there's so many challenges right now.
So then at what age so if I look at young children in particular, 3, 4, I still
Yeah.
remember from the time that I was between 3 and 4 years old, things, and probably I see our grandchildren from that age already being very interactive, but right up the time that they become adults or go to that, I probably had also a benefit at the time that I thought that I was fairly special at 17. At 18, I was drafted into the Dutch Air Force, and there were 40 guys in the same room that all thought that they were special, and so it was a good setting to kind of get interaction, social interaction, and in
Yeah.
circumstances. So that was probably good for me. But what I see today a lot of times, especially at that age, both male and female, and as they go through that age, then it becomes very, very challenging as well. So at what point does mindset in particular and your counseling of your model becomes critically important if you kind of look at the average family and saying at that point from when to when or at what point do you think you've succeeded?
Yeah. So our when I wrote the curriculum, I really wanted to reach children when they were young, so they could start developing these mindset skills at a young age and use them as they were navigating elementary school and middle school and friendships and extracurricular activities and grades for the first time, all of those things. And so the curriculum, we really worked with children between about the ages of 6, 12, 13, 14, elementary, middle school. But some of our coaches love working with the younger kids, so they adapt the coaching stories and activities to work with younger ones. And some of our coaches use our work with teens and even their adult clients. And again, you just shift the circumstances with the older ones. But I think it's so important to reach children at a young age when they're in elementary school and they're experiencing a kind of life outside the safety of their core family for the first time. Is, like I said, it's the first time they're getting grades, or maybe the first time they don't get invited to a birthday party, or maybe they try out for an acting position in a play and they don't get chosen. And just learning how to navigate these disappointments and realizing that this is just like a little bump in life. It doesn't mean that you're not smart. It doesn't mean that you can't achieve your goals. It just means that you get to develop your skills a little bit more and go try again.
Yeah, and again, very very critical. So now you are involved in 30 different countries that
Right.
the wisdom coaches. So what
Yeah.
does that involve? How do you work mainly virtual on in different countries? What does the
Yeah.
how do you get approached by, is it by groups or individuals or both, or what does it look like as people watching us in particular? And there will be lots of it, as you well know, and podcasting is the new media, and we
Yeah.
reach people from around the globe. We may hundreds of thousands of people, or millions in some cases, are watching. So, what does it look like for them? Because I believe that globally, the issues are the same all over.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. So we help people become a life coach for kids. So people who really want to support children in building their confidence, their self-esteem, self-leadership skills, learning how to set and achieve their goals, those sorts of things. And they get certified to use our coaching curriculum in their work with children. We also have marketing, business coaching tools, business training, because we want to support them on being successful on the business side as well. So people who become a wisdom coach, that's what we call our coaches. Like I said, they get certified in our curriculum. They have their own business, their own branding, their own company name, and then they work with children. Some work in person, some work online. It really depends on how they most like to work with kids. And they can work with kids one-on-one, small groups, or even in workshops, or a combination of all of them. So they have some flexibility there as well. So that really is the core part of our business. And then for parents who are looking for support for their children, we have coaches that are available to work with their children, just be part of their parenting team to support their children in developing some of these mindset skills.
So it's really an opportunity even for individuals to start understanding it and then making the decision of going beyond the family, but make a bigger group, whatever that may look like, with
Right.
all the same issues, and then still get coaching along the way so that their model, becoming is something that works within that model that you have developed.
Absolutely. And our coaches tend to have three things in common. They love personal development and mindset work. They're passionate about children and really supporting children in being who they're meant to be in the world, developing these types of skills. And they see helping children as helping them do their work in the world. That just really is what lights them up and what they want to do. And they come from a variety of backgrounds. It could be life coaches for adults who want to reach children at a younger age. We have a lot of people who are in the education or have an education background and they want to support developing the whole child. So beyond the academics and helping them develop on the social emotional side. Coaches or counselors and therapists who want to add more of a prevention aspect by proactively teaching these mindset skills. We have people who are already working with kids, whether it's like in martial arts, acting, art, different as extracurricular sports coaching, and they really understand that mindset is just as important as skill set to create success in their lives. And we have parents and grandparents or mentors, people who are already wanting to support the children in their own lives, and from there their vision grows to help other kids as well. So it's a wide variety of people who become coaches, and the beauty of our program is that the coaching curriculum guides them step by step in how to work with children. And then we have the business tools and the business coaching curriculum and training that helps guide them step by step on the business side to get clients, learn how to say what they do, how to have conversations with parents without it feeling icky or salesy, so that they can get out there and help kids.
So, so a lot of people are watching us, and I'm just kind of visualizing, saying, okay, I'm interested in doing that. So they contact you or your organization, and from a cost perspective, but I'm not asking you for exact numbers, but in a
Yeah.
general idea, what would they assume this would, from a cost perspective, mean to them?
Oh, absolutely, John. I don't mind sharing it all. Although, with podcasts, they can be dated. So the
Yeah, yeah,
best thing to do is always go to our website to see
yeah.
the latest and greatest, right? But we have several different packages that range anywhere from about a $3,000 price point up to about a $5,200 price point at the time of this recording. And it provides different levels of training and support and one-on-one coaching based on what someone is really interested in. So, for example, someone who already has their own business working with kids, they don't need to learn how to get clients. They don't necessarily, or maybe they work in a nonprofit and they're serving their community. They would probably enter in at the lower package because they don't need all the business side of it. Someone who's brand new to business and they're like, whoa, I want someone to hold my hand. I want to work one-on-one with the coach. Then that higher end package is probably the one that they would go with. But we have some flexibility there. And John, what our process is first, we always want people to experience our coaching curriculum. And so we give away a free coaching story on our website. It has both the mentor's guide that has the background information, the coaching tips for the coach, as well as the children's guide where you have the coaching story, discussion questions, activities. So you really get a feel for what's in the curriculum. Then we have an overview about the program, how it works, so someone can be in the comfort of their own home, learn about this, see whether or not we might be the right fit for them. If so, they can apply and then just have a call with one of our success coaches and just explore whether or not this is the right fit for them.
So, in the time that I've been active and around a lot in normal life, there are a lot of families that have challenges in those areas and always looking for ways and means of, am I doing the right thing or should I do something different? And so and they then speak to others by more coincidence than by structure, and then kind of respectfully stumble along. But to get the guidance really is that if we have example, a family that had challenges, then
Mhm.
the first would be, I would assume, to get guidance in terms of saying, look at your website, look at the different packages, but also to have the ability to interact with somebody directly and saying, these are the challenges that we are having, and I'm seeking for guidance. What do you
Mhm.
recommend? And feeling,
Yeah, so for parents who are looking for some support, they can just go to our website. We have a tab there up the top. It says for parents, and there they can connect with a coach so they can complete a form, tell us some more about what's going on, what type of support they're looking for their child. And then some of our coaches who feel like they're a good fit for that can respond directly to that parent. They can have a conversation and see whether or not coaching is going to work for them. And so, for example, as a child, you were dealing with ADHD and learning differences as well. We have some coaches that specialize and have special training in working with children who have been diagnosed with ADHD or who have learning differences as well. So those types of coaches can be the best fit for a parent who's looking for support there. So connecting with a coach on our website is a great way to get some questions answered and see if they can find someone who can support their family.
So another question is, if somebody's, I'm reading it from questions, potentially,
Yeah.
if somebody's curious about becoming a life coach for kids, what are the most important criteria?
Oh, most important thing, passionate about mindset skills, work, and personal development. Most of
Yeah.
our coaches have the same books on their bookshelf. They were into the same kind of mindset around continuous learning, growth, and really understanding the power of our mind. Of course, passionate about helping children and seeing that as helping them do their work in the world. If you have those as your core, and that is what will help you really serve your purpose in the world. The coaching curriculum is going to guide you step by step in your work with children. The business side is going to guide you step by step on the business side.
So the interesting part about it Renee, is that I'm
Yeah.
always amazed that that I like the model that you have. I like the way you laid it out here in your book, and obviously your website will be very uh, informative. And then obviously the documents that I have here, then I think it has great potential, but also from people that believe that from a business perspective, that you can make it any size that you want it to be. It does not
Yes.
have to be. It's not like me that is building lumber mills or warehouses. No, this is a different business, if you want to call it that, but where it can be self-serving, but go beyond that with a number of people with same challenges, same issues, and learning along the way. And then if the entrepreneurial thing is part of it with the potential parents starting this way, you could then potentially expand it to building kind of a business around it, but still have the guidance from an organization like yours.
Absolutely. We have got coaches who've built new full-time careers and they have their business and they're running it full time. We have others that run their coaching business just on the side, whether they're fully employed somewhere else or maybe part-time working somewhere else, or maybe it's retirement income and they're just wanting to help kids also earn a little bit of supplemental income. Coaches that are running the gamut, they're the boss. They get to decide how many kids they want to coach, what type of business they want to build, whether it's a full-time business or something that's just supplementing their income. It's up to them.
So that just kind of standing back then, so the
Yeah.
client base that you find is coming to you, what is the primary age grouping of that? And is it male, female, or both, or not the difference?
Great. You're talking about for people who want to become coaches?
Coaches or the
Yeah.
clientele or the coaches for what are
Yeah.
the children at what grouping would they be age-wise predominantly?
Yes. So, from a coach perspective, the majority of people we see tend to be mostly women, usually between about the ages of 35, 40-ish, all the way up into mid 70s, where this is a retirement. And a lot of people, they've already had some level of careers and they're really wanting purpose and meaning and fulfillment in their work. And sometimes they're educators wanting to transition out of education or supplement what they're doing in education. There's a lot of different motivation there. So those are the people who become coaches. And we definitely have some guys too, but it does tend to be more of the women. Go ahead. It looks like you have a thought.
And then the benefits is they can do it from their home.
They can do it absolutely.
Or
So it depends on what they want to do. Some of
yeah,
our coaches love to work with children in person.
yeah,
Some will work in person in their own home, sometimes in the child's home. Some will have office space. A lot of our coaches coach children online. Our
yeah.
curriculum is very interactive, so it is very conducive of working online. And the nice thing about that, John, is that it enables our coaches to work with anyone and anywhere in the world. So even if they live in a little small town, they can reach children all over the world, and they don't have to be concerned about time zones or when children are in school because they can just work in a different time zone there.
And do it virtually on virtual
Yes.
as well. And then
Yeah.
so that is the and you said and the children then or the
Yes.
young adults, whatever they. What is the grouping mainly, and is it predominantly? You already said that predominantly female.
Well, for the kids, boys and girls, like all, yeah, that's not as much of an issue at all. And it really depends upon the coach. I mean, this curriculum was really designed towards elementary, middle school, 6 to 12, 13, 14 years old. Some of our coaches love working with teens. So they adapt our curriculum and use it with teens. Some of our coaches like working with the little kids. And so they'll simplify some of the stories and work with some of the little kids. But really the ideal sweet spot for our curriculum to use it as is like ages 6 through 12, 13, 14, that age group.
Now, for the person that would do this to become a wisdom coaches, you get a certificate for that, or how does that work?
Yeah, so they'll get a certification as a wisdom coach that's certified to use our curriculum in their own business. So yes, there is a certificate with that. They get listing on our website. If there's someone who is an ICF coach, they can get continuing coach education credits. This might not mean anything to you, but someone who's an ICF coach, they would understand what that's all about. So that we fit within the coaching community there, and then they become part of our community where we have our private Facebook group for coaches, very interactive group, coaches from all around the world in there. And then we have monthly Q&A calls and opportunities to work one-on-one with expert wisdom coaches or in small groups as well. So we do have additional support there too.
So you started this, Renee, about 12 years ago or so,
Right.
and then after your experiences yourself going through this, so
Yeah.
I see this, as we said earlier, this is a global issue, and our obviously there is a global market for it, but it's pretty much all in English, I would
At this
say
time,
most of the times.
yes.
But you know, the I'm always amazed that this is the, I believe, right from, and that's why I gave you my background, kind of
Yeah.
looking at it and saying, fortunately, because of circumstances, that accidentally I came into areas that helped me to grow and to gain that self confidence and all the other things. But that's not necessarily everybody that can do that, or has that opportunity to do that. And so many persons are struggling because of that background and take it right into adulthood, and
Right.
right, and it is so unfortunate because it will affect their whole lives and
Absolutely.
relationships, and so it's so very, very important. Now, males usually, especially when they get older, are not very good at seeking counseling necessarily, and but I believe it's changing somewhat. But again, very, very important going forward
It
in
is.
careers and your life, right?
Yeah, it is shifting. And people are becoming more and more open to coaching because coaching doesn't focus on the past and healing of the past. It's really more about creating your future, going
Yeah.
from where you are to where you want to be, and how do you get there. And so a big part of that is your mindset, it's your confidence, it's your self-esteem, but it's also the steps of learning how to set and achieve goals, how to be self-accountable, how to navigate those challenges when things don't go your way, which, as you well know, happens a lot.
Yeah.
We have challenges when we're building a business.
So for me, always my foundation has been attitude. I'm a positive individual, no matter what happens. If
Right.
but I know tomorrow will be a better day, and
Right.
so the other thing that I do is still at 84. I work harder than I think than anybody. I usually get up at 5:30. I always make my bed, and I'm always in a hurry because I always think I'm late, and so attitude, passion, whatever I do, I give it 125%. And then work ethic, I
Yeah.
work harder, as I said, than I believe anybody. And then what will follow is success. But to have that foundation of attitude, passion, work ethic is very, very important. And then
Absolutely.
the other part, but I believe is important, is that whoever you are, male, female, and a lot of times we feel this is not right, that's not right, I should be this, that, and the other thing. No, there is only one of you. Is that you are special. There's only one of you on this earth. And you have to create that self confidence, not ego, but self confidence, that you're just as good as anybody else and that anything that you wish to pursue is possible.
Couldn't have said it better myself. You're right, John.
Renaye, anything else as we get to the end of our podcast that comes to mind?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to just help spread the word and let parents know that life coaching for kids is an option out there for their children, really supporting them and proactively building strong mental health skills, mental wellness skills, so they can be confident and prepared to really thrive in life and be who they're meant to be in the world.
I love it, Renaye. And give us once more your website.
Yes. adventuresinwisdom.com. There you can check out a free coaching story, whether you're a parent or a potential coach. We have a tab that says Be a Coach, where you can learn more about the program there, and also a tab for Be a Parent, where you can learn about some of the resources we have there, as well as connect with the coach.
Excellent, Renaye. And for all those people watching us from around the world, this applies to everybody. Having Renaye here and on mindset and self-confidence, critical elements around the world. For those that like our programs, both Renaye's and mine, make sure you subscribe to us, share it with others, like it, and make comments, and then check out Renaye's website. Renaye, it was a privilege to have you on my podcast, and let's make sure we stay in touch.
That would be great. Thank you.
Take care.